Well, the murders are over now, guys. Time to go back to the secret hideout and have fun. We don't have to worry about getting, getting killed. I don't know. I would be a little bit concerned, if there was a murderer on the loose in the village. I'd be like, I don't know, guys. I would just be a little bit paranoid about, going anywhere. I'd be like, you guys sure we're not going to get we're all just not going to get stabbed or something by this dude? I don't know. But I guess, to be fair, it's like, you can't let fear rule your life. Go have fun while you're young. But as we know, since this is Carno Shoujo, a tragedy will strike. And, I'm pretty sure it will strike very soon. Meguri stood, fidgeting in front of the hideout. The ground around her was flattened from the way she'd paced around the area. Calm down, Guriko. Yu, who was with her, muttered exasperatedly. But... Meguri stopped and turned to Yu. I've never done anything like this before. Oh god, what's going on? I guess that's true. Yu sighed. Are you okay with this, though? I think Rihito... I know! Meguri shouted, interrupting Yu. I know Rihito probably likes Sachin, but I just... Oh, is she gonna confess? You've liked him for a long time, after all. Meguri didn't deny Yu's words. She'd never told anyone her feelings, including Yu, but Yu had read her like an open book. Yu seems to be able to read pretty much everybody. What am I supposed to do? I just fell for him. Meguri muttered under her breath. I've liked him since way before Sachin came along. I know. Yu stroked Meguri's head. Rihito should be here soon. Yeah, I hope Ohina didn't notice. Well, yeah, his sister has a thing for him, too. She wasn't there when I went to get him, so I think you're okay. I told Rihito not to tell her, too. Thanks, young mistress. Don't mention it. Yu tapped the snow off her shoes. I'll be off then. You can do it, Guriko. Yeah. Meguri watched for a little while as Yu headed off. She'd been waiting nearby, and that was why Meguri had to get an answer. No, she'd known from the beginning what the answer would be. Yeah, not a good one. This confession was merely to give her emotions some closure. Phew. She took a deep breath. Cold air filled her lungs. She felt herself relax. I'll be fine. I can do this. When she raised her head, she saw Aito coming up from the direction of the Hinigami house. She looked down and got her breathing under control again. She couldn't stop her heart rate from rising. Guriko, Aito addressed her. I heard from the young mistress. What do you need? Oh, well... She raised her head and tried to appear nonchalant, but she couldn't find the words that came next. And she said to keep it a secret from Karen. You don't need to worry about it. Really? Yeah, really. Uh-huh. So, is she just not gonna say anything? So, did something happen? Her gaze wavered. Rihito, how should I say this? Again, the words wouldn't come. Yeah? Aito tilted his head. He'll just think I'm strange like this. The more nervous she got, the more confused her mind got, and she lost track of what she wanted to say. So, She blinked again and again until suddenly something hot was trailing down her cheeks. What? Guriko? Huh? Wait, what? Oh. And I just feel bad for her, because I'm like, you know that Aito is going to be like, I like Sachin. I mean, it's obvious. They've already had sex, so it's just like, I don't think he's going to... I mean, obviously he doesn't even have feelings for Guriko. The only person he seems to have feelings for is Satsuki. Her vision grew hazy. Now that the tears were flowing, she couldn't stop them. Wait, I'm sorry, Rihito. It'd be interesting if this game had routes. Well, technically it kind of does, but we can't really do anything like that with when we see things from Aito's perspective. But it would be interesting if you could, like, have a choice in the matter. Be like, oh, hey, I'll just go with Guriko or Meguri. But then you'd probably get killed by the, by the killer. You know, because that's how things went in the original game when you got with another girl. It's like, well, you're gonna die now. I think there are a few exceptions, but for the most part, yeah, you get killed. She turned her face away from Ayato and sniffled. She didn't even know why she'd started crying. Was it because she couldn't say what she wanted to say? She should have just talked to him like she did all the time. She was aware of that, but she still couldn't seem to get started. I'm sorry. She apologized again. Are you alright? Ayato asked gently. Yeah. That made her feel unbearably pitiful again. What should I do? At this rate, I won't be able to say anything. Hey, Rihito. So she started speaking before she could think of anything else. Yeah? I love you, Rihito. Oh god. Oh my god. Her heart started pounding as soon as the words left her lips. Huh? It was so sudden, all Ayato could do was be surprised. That's all I wanted to tell you. So, I'm sorry. Meguri ran off, kicking up snow, unable to stay there any longer. Wait! Ayato's hand grabbed her arm. She stumbled and almost fell, but Ayato caught her in his arms. This is getting really awkward. Sorry. Ayato let go right away. It's so sudden. I don't really know what to say, but I know. Meguri shook her head. I know, but tell me anyway. It'll make me feel better. Okay. I think I probably like Sachin, so I'm sorry. When she heard his words, Meguri thought her wavering heart had finally calmed down. Okay. Thanks, Rihito. Guriko? I knew already, so I'm fine. Tomorrow, let's be friends again like we always have been, okay? She smiled at Ayato, though she didn't know if she was really smiling. God, that's just depressing. Like, it's just really depressing. But I guess in a way, you know, kind of bittersweet. At least it's like she was... I was about to say at least she's okay with it, but obviously she's not. Meguri's crying voice echoed through the dim hideout. Good job, Guriko. You gently consoled her. But I already knew, so why? Does my heart hurt so much? Meguri kept crying until her tears dried up in their hideout. Well, that didn't end as well as I thought it might have. Uh-oh. Here we are again. Satsuki got into her futon and shut her eyes. Quite a bit of time passed after she lay down, but she couldn't seem to fall asleep. Was it because she'd been cooped up in her room for the last few days? Was it because she'd been lying down without moving for so long? Or was it because she had such terrible dreams? A sense of dread passed upon her at night. She saw black, white, and red in the darkness. She felt faint. Don't sleep. For some reason, she told herself that. She didn't want to remember, so why did she have to? She let out a sigh. When she slept, she had bad dreams. When she didn't sleep, she had bad memories. She wondered which was better. All I did was watch. A voice. Yeah, that's all you ever do. She turned her head to see a doll with empty eyes staring at her from the floor. That doll is just as creepy as ever. Say. What? Did something happen with him? Something? The words were exchanged casually, but Satsuki's heart was pounding. She hadn't told anyone about that. He and she were the only ones who knew about it. You're so selfish. I'm selfish? Yes, you take away everything I want. The darkness seemed to grow stronger. So, why? That's not what I want. She rose from her futon. Her chest ached. That wasn't what she wanted at all. You're supposed to be my shadow. I am your shadow. It was true. She protected her and never appeared on the outside. I know that. That's why Why? They spoke at the same time. Then why did you steal him from me? I didn't mean to steal him. Because I'll never be with him. You're the only one who can. I'll disappear someday. So, before that, she wanted to leave behind some kind of proof that she'd existed. She prayed something of her would remain in his heart. Will he realize the difference between she and I? Well, I haven't realized it, so if I can't make him understand now, then someday. I wanted to become you. Satsuki murmured. The shadow took in much more sun. Arms outstretched. You don't exist inside me. A chill ran down her spine. I don't like the implications of that. What's going on? I'll become one with you, and become my true self. I'll become the shadow, the true self. She grasped the doll tightly. Uh-oh. So, please. Satsuki's fingers closed around Satsuki's neck. So what do you guys think is going on with her? Oh. The corpse lay atop the futon laid out on the floor. I stripped the sheets from the futon and carefully wrapped up the arms, tightly so that they weren't dirtied. I wrapped the sheets around the shoulders and wrapped up each fingertip too. I confirmed the location of the shoulder joint, then took out a chisel. I made sure the chisel was in place above the sheet, then struck it with a mallet. The edge of the chisel dug into flesh. A red stain spread onto the sheet. The edge hit hard bone, and the sound changed. The dull sound of breaking bone. The blade sunk in exceedingly easily, perhaps because the body was so emaciated. I took out a knife and severed the thick tendon of the underarm. I had to work the blade back and forth several times through the elastic tendon. Blood spread out over the futon as well. Finally severing the tendon, I laid the knife down and pulled on the arm, twisting it. Bone rubbed against bone, producing a creaking sound. I took the knife in hand again and this time cut away the skin, carefully so that I did not cause excessive damage. Red blood and white fat mixed together and spilled out. A bloody, sour smell. Ugh. I continued my work indifferently, as if butchering a pig or a chicken. The arm came off. I caressed it lovingly, putting my mouth to the blood dripping from the severed section. Jesus Christ, he's drinking it? Rather than licking it, it was more like I was drinking from it. Jeez, what the fuck is he, a vampire? This continued for a short while until I was satisfied, at which point I laid the arm down softly on top of the futon, and my obscene work continued. Yep, he is cutting up Satsuki. I know you guys might have started to like Satsuki, but like I said, tragedy is inevitable in this game. I put the chisel to the other arm as well. The blood wasn't spurting vigorously, but the surrounding area was still drenched in it. The futon, and probably the floor under it too, were soaked with blood. Cutting off the unneeded parts, I severed the arm. I peeled back the sheet covering it and put my mouth to the fingers that peeked out. I wrapped my tongue around the fingers and sucked on them. Bro, what? So wait, as he's cutting her up, he's drinking her blood and then he's like sucking on her fingers? This is just strange. Like, is this some kind of some ritual the killer has? I don't know. I removed my mouth, carefully wiped off the fingers dirtied with saliva, and wrapped the arm again, laying it on top of the futon. I took the chisel and mallet in hand and stood, moving the corpse's legs. I peeled open the kimono and exposed white thighs. I stroked the bloodless skin with my fingertips. My fingers glided softly up between the legs. Uh-oh. Necrophilia? My fingers reached the groin and explored the area. When I removed my hands, the flesh remained sunken. I wrapped both legs in sheets that weren't yet drenched with blood. Lifting the chisel, I placed it directly below the jutting hip bone. Its edge dug in. The flesh was thicker than that of the shoulder, so when the skin rent, yellowish fat spilled out. A brief moment later, red blood spilled out. The fluids made an unpleasant bubbling sound when they mixed with the air. Oh, God. Just imagining that, and also hearing the sounds of it. Ignoring the sound, I got to work severing the leg with the chisel. Occasionally stripping away some skin with the knife, I used the chisel to cleanly sever the femur from the hip joint. Stripping off the unneeded skin, I sliced off the flesh and cut the tendon. The genital area near the severing point was already unrecognizable. I pried the chisel in the joint like a lever. I tore the cartilage from the bone. With the loud sound of entering air, the leg was removed from the body. Severing the last bits of sinew, I wrapped the cross-section in the sheet. A red stain spread. I left it next to the arms and began on the last leg. The work proceeded briskly after my previous 3 successes. So wait, there were 2 other people that we don't know about that this person is killed? So we know about Sachiko? But I guess he must have killed 2 other people we're not sure of. Unless they're referring to the previous quote-unquote curses. That could be it. It didn't take much time to sever it. Holy shit. The limbs were removed and I smiled, satisfied. I wrapped the remaining torso in a blanket. Its long hair spilled out. I lifted it easily now that it was several parts lighter and left the room. The door closed. The severed limbs were left in the dark storehouse. Time passed quietly. A nauseating smell of blood filled the space. A red puddle spread out around the area where the limbs had been severed. Somebody else here? The door opened and moonlight illuminated Satsuki's body. Yep, so Satsuki is dead. That's a shame. I really like her character. It's really hard to get attached to any character in this game because you know their death is pretty much inevitable. Like, you don't want them to die, but you know it's very, very likely it's going to happen. But here's my theory about what happened there. I think Satsuki strangled herself. I mean, there were handprints on her neck, if you noticed, so I think she strangled herself. I think she had some kind of weird split personality going on because she was thinking she was like 2 different people, and I think she was like 100% convinced that she basically was 2 different people, and that, you know, I guess for whatever reason she just, you know, that she had to kill herself. I'm not exactly sure. Maybe there's more to it than that. There probably is, but that's my theory. And then when she killed herself, the killer came in and basically took advantage of that and mutilated her body. Now, as for who the killer is, my money is on... I think there's multiple people. I think it's not just one person, because if you remember from the first intermission, it said there were multiple people with masks. So there's multiple people involved. I think Saya is for sure... I'm very suspicious of Saya. I think she's definitely involved. Kensei seems very much not suspicious, but I will not discount the possibility. I think, you know, because in the first game, that one teacher, what was his name, Kusaka, he seemed very not suspicious, but you find out he was one of the killers. So Kensei could very well be in on this too. And I mean, he's a priest, so that makes it even more likely that he's in on these, you know, ritualistic killings. As for who else, I really can't say. I've really only just got, I guess really for now, I would just assume it's Kensei and Saya. Not really sure who else could be involved. I think the village elders know about it. I think they've known about it for a long time. They have to have known about it, but they're playing dumb. They must know. I think they definitely know. So that's what I think so far, but I could be 100% wrong. So I guess we'll find out. That's why you're such a loser, Naori said to Ayato as soon as he opened his mouth. I know I'm a loser. Ayato hung his head. You never even asked, did you? Well, I guess not. It just never seemed like the right time to. Well, if you wanted to know, you should have asked. Wasn't someone from the shrine at your house just yesterday? It seemed like the detective was asking my family and some of the Shiguses about some things, but I didn't feel right to butt in. Ayato grumbled. That's why I wanted your help now, Chen. Well, that's kind of what I figured. It would have been easy for Naori to ask about Satsuki. He wasn't sure if he should have, though. Ayato was the one who wanted to know, so he was probably the one who should have asked. I'll go with you, so you ask, okay? Oh no, they're gonna find it. They're gonna find it. Alright. Ayato nodded. He still showed resistance to climbing the stone steps, however. Yeah, he really should. Come on, Rihito. Right. Ayato placed a foot on the stone steps. That was how strong his feelings were for her. Wow, those feelings are about to be crushed under 10 tons of weight. Naori had never felt that way about the opposite sex before. He didn't understand affairs of love all too well. Perhaps it was because he'd been raised to believe the Japanese man should live to serve his country instead of being infatuated with affairs of the heart. But no, even without that sort of education, he doubted he'd ever try to live his life that way. He didn't even know how to live for himself, so how could he live for someone else, or something as big as his country? Naori had been thinking a lot lately about what he wanted to do. He was working toward being a doctor, but that wasn't his idea. Of course, it wasn't like his parents were forcing him to do so. He just didn't know what else he could do. He used to want to be a writer. When did he discard that dream? Now-chan. Ayato stared at Naori when he got lost in thought. Yeah, sorry. For now, he had to help Ayato. The only thing Naori found himself interested in was their feelings. Let's go then. Ayato started climbing the stone steps. Naori followed Ayato slowly as the snow blew around them. His younger cousin lived an uninhibited life. He envied him. He wasn't bound by his family, and he paid no mind to taboos, sticking his nose into whatever interested him. He didn't show a thin facade of affability to everyone like Naori. That was why Satsuki and Meguri liked him. His sister Karen adored him too, unlike Naori. When did he start having such twisted thoughts? He pondered as he climbed the stone steps. Maybe it was when he started reading the books in his father's library. He'd looked through all the psychiatry books. Among them, he'd been most interested in Freud's psychoanalysis. Awareness of the unconscious deep in one's mind. He couldn't understand it at all, maybe because he'd been interpreting it too literally. But that was why he was interested. Maybe Naori wanted to become a doctor to understand it, but didn't understand at all that desire itself was an unconscious thought deep in his psyche. They scaled the stone steps. Huh? Naori raised his head at Ayato's hoarse voice. Oh shit. Oh my god. Oh my god. Yep. Somebody actually did that. Somebody took her body and just displayed it. A girl in a kimono stood in their way in front of the torii before the shrine path. No, her feet weren't touching the ground. Sachin? There was no mistaking her long hair and the pattern of her kimono. Ayato ran over to her. Naori followed. She floated in the air, suspended by ropes tied to the torii. Sachin! Ayato reached out and froze. Huh? What? Ayato muttered and fell to his knees. The clothes Satsuki was wearing were dyed red with blood in several places. Her skirt fluttered about in the snowy wind around her waist, but he couldn't see her legs beneath it. Sachin? Ayato sat unmoving, staring up at Satsuki. There was no life in her figure. What? He couldn't understand, or refused to. The snowy wind blew the sleeves of Satsuki's kimono about. Sachin? Come on, answer me. Ayato cried out to Satsuki's unresponsive shell. Naori, on the other hand, only became more focused on the situation. They went and tied her to the torii. Who would do this, and why? Who cares about that? Ayato screamed. Sachin, Sachin! Aito wailed. I'll call the police. He turned around with those words. It would probably have been quicker to call someone from the nearby shrine, but now he deliberately avoided doing so. He didn't know who the culprit was yet. It could have been Hina-sama's curse. But whether it was or wasn't, he was sure the people at the shrine were heavily involved. Yeah, I have to actually agree there. I think the people at the shrine are definitely involved with this. The snow only grew stronger, enveloping all. Well, that might mark the end of our long flashback, folks. It, of course, ends in tragedy. After Naori went to the police station and brought Inui back from the shrine, he found Aito sitting in front of Satsuki's body absent-mindedly. Inui determined it a homicide and called back the police who had left, opening the investigation. After a thorough autopsy by Yuzuru and the police forensics, it was concluded that Satsuki's cause of death was strangulation, and that her limbs had been severed after death. Suspicion was naturally turned toward the residents of the Shigusa shrine. However, there wasn't much progress in the investigation. Her time of death, estimated with the temperature and such of that day in mind, was determined to be roughly 10 hours before her body was discovered, that preceding night. Everyone from the Shigusa shrine had been at the Hinagami residence in Kamihina that night, and Inui had been there too. Inui himself could prove that it was impossible for any Shigusa to have committed the crime. Satsuki's corpse was there when the Shigusa family returned home. Of course, Inui wasn't satisfied with that, and searched every nook and cranny of the shrine grounds. He had no evidence, but requested a search warrant from the courthouse. He even checked the inner sanctuary of the shrine, where no one was usually admitted, but found nothing. Of course, there was a sizable gap between the discovery of the corpse and the investigation, so they'd had plenty of time to destroy the evidence. Even taking that into consideration, however, it remained true that none of them had been present at the time of the crime. Unless there is a mystery person that we're not considering. That could be. I don't know. The culprits could either be the people we've been introduced to, or it could be someone we're not aware of. So we also need to think about that too. Could the crime have been committed by an outside party? Yeah, okay, see, great minds think alike. No, the people of the settlement didn't hesitate to call this Hina-sama's curse as well. If someone died there, it was all made into the curse. No one thought past that. It was something Inui had experienced many times. But Satsuki's body displayed clearly different characteristics. Her severed limbs. This hadn't occurred in any of the prior incidents called Hina-sama's curse. Could it have been something other than the curse? It certainly didn't seem like a simple murder to him, though. It may have been so that he couldn't take her fingerprints, so that her identity couldn't be determined. What led Inui to believe that this was the very identity of the victim, of Shigusa Satsuki? No one lived at the Tokyo address she'd given him. Naturally, he pursued the matter relentlessly with the Shigusas, but they conceded nothing, merely stating that the address was correct. After a thorough investigation of the family register, he was able to determine that Yoshimitsu's eldest son lived in the area. But the eldest son's register contained no record of Satsuki. There was the possibility of her being a bastard not entered into the family register, but he wasn't able to investigate the eldest son. There were political reasons for that. Because of things like jurisdictional disputes, Inui wasn't able to get a hold of the information. Shigusa Satsuki, now just Satsuki, was shelved as an unidentified corpse. The country went to war while her murderer and their motive remained unknown, and the investigation was closed. So, it is a total mystery as to who Satsuki really is. And with that, the flashback is more or less over. I know we go back to it later, but for now we're going back to the present time. It's about damn time. We spent a long time in that flashback, but it was necessary so as to introduce Aito as a character, because he will be an important character in this game. Kayahara Yukiko sits in her room, facing her desk. It looks like it's snowing outside. She can see beads of white through the blackened window every so often. Closing the curtains, Yukiko picks up a covered paperback. She wants to read the short story in the little time she has before bed. Of course, it's a novel she's read many times before. She can't claim to know every word by heart, but she has the basic plot in her memory. Yet she still reads it again and again. It's that addictive to her. It's a novel that was popular among female students a little while back. The situation surrounding the story was another reason it became famous. Oh, was it the egg of Nianus? Yukiko doesn't know that much about what happened then. She remembers everyone talking about it at the time, though. They did say there was a corpse discovered at the nearby Inokashira Park, didn't they? That's about the extent of what Yukiko remembers. She wasn't interested in it. Once she'd experienced this book, it just seemed like a story that took place somewhere far away. So she never felt the need to look into it. Phew. This is no good. Her fatigue is getting the better of her. She's just not absorbing the contents of the book. Her mind seems to spin, spiraling into madness. She leans into the back of the chair. Are you sleepy? Someone speaks to her. It's a boy's voice. You should go to bed. You're tired. He may be right. It's been about a month since she transferred to Oba Girls Academy. It's been stressful in the unfamiliar environment. She has class tomorrow too. It's time for bed. The book slips from her fingers. The cover falls off when the book hits the floor. Yep, that's the same one. The cover reads, The Egg of Neonis. Yeah, so she said there was a boy talking to her, like a boy's voice. So this girl also hears voices. I wonder if there's some kind of relation to Satsuki. I actually don't know for sure, but I'm just wondering. Driving along the roads with barely any streetlights, I rushed to the Kuchiki Hospital in Nakano. Yukari's call was very vague. Whatever the case, if it was an accident or some kind of incident, there would probably be police here, but at a glance, I don't see anyone like that around. But from how Yukari was panicking, it's clear that something must have happened. I step inside. There's barely anyone here at this hour. Yukari! I find Yukari sitting at a bench in the hallway and approach her. Oh, Nissan. Yukari stands up, looking despondent. What happened? Well, Yukari looks over at the door across the hall. The examination room? Who's inside? Well, I don't know. Yukari shakes her head, a hand on her elbow. You don't know? Yes, it was just so sudden. I didn't know what to do. Take a step back, Yukari. Can you explain from the beginning so I can understand? Yes. Yukari starts explaining. In short, Yukari found a man who had attempted suicide in the park. After being taken to the hospital, he's having his wound treated. I suppose this is very much like Yukari. To accompany a man she doesn't know, who was attempting suicide no less, to the hospital. I definitely wouldn't have gone to such lengths. So, why did you need me? Oh, The door to the examination room opens. Oh, Tokisaka-san. If it isn't Dr. Yamanoshi. Yamanoshi Koharo is an obstetrician who helped me out with the previous case. Why are you doing this kind of emergency treatment, doctor? I'm just lending a hand since I was on duty. As for the patient's condition, he still hasn't regained consciousness. Koharo turns to Yukari. I don't think there's any danger to his life, but he's lost more blood than I expected. I do think he'll need a transfusion. I see. And you can't use my blood? From the sample you gave earlier, your blood type is AA, Yukari-san. It can't be given to the patient. You said Tokisaka-san's blood type was O, yes? Right, Yukari and our parents are all A, so they always told me they found me under a bridge. That must mean your parents were both type AO. You're talking about genotypes or something, right? I've heard it's a more detailed classification than the ABO system. Yes, it's only possible for two siblings to be type O and type AA if both their parents are AO. I see, and seeing you brought up my type O, I'm guessing the patient is too. Yes, that's right. So that's why they called me. I'm sorry, I couldn't think of anyone else who was type O. Nah, it's fine. O-type blood can be given to all other blood types in a transfusion, but there's a high risk of infection if we use blood from the blood bank, so... I don't mind. I've got to finish what Yukari started. I'll do whatever I can. Thank you so much, Nissan. I'll start with a simple examination then. May I draw some blood? Of course. I roll up my sleeves, exposing my arm to the elbow. Do you know the patient's identity? Yes, his name is Masaki-san, and he's been visiting this hospital for a while now. Well, we already know who that was at the beginning, and that's not his real name. Kohara responds while swabbing the inside of my elbow with a cotton ball soaked in antiseptic. That was easy enough to figure out even while he was unconscious, but... Okay, please relax. I feel the needle go in. I can't say it's a sensation I'm particularly fond of. Okay, thank you. Hold this down for a little while, please. The needle comes out and I hold down the cotton ball. Koharo enters an examination room. There was something I wanted to inquire about at this hospital, but now really isn't the time. Hey, Yukari. Yes? Looks like he'll be okay. Right. Yukari nods. But I can't believe I'm here donating my blood to someone I don't even know. I sure have gotten soft. Thank you, Nissan. Well, I suppose it's something I have to do so that her efforts don't go to waste. I'm kind of curious as to why Aito was trying to kill himself. I guess ever since Sasuke died, he's just been going through a deep, deep depression. Day breaks and I'm back at the office. I still feel sluggish from all the blood that was drawn last night. I can't believe I managed to drive Yukari home despite that. Maybe I'll have some liver for lunch. But there's somewhere I have to go first. Honestly, I'd rather not, but... Well, where else can we... Oh, no, not here. Not here. Please, no, anywhere but here. I take the Yamanote line to Takeda Nobaba. A short walk brings me to a familiar hospital. It has the word clinic in its name, but I've never seen a single patient here. I may be stumbling around low on blood, but that doesn't make me a patient. Hell no. Interest you in some liver? After hearing about my situation, Natsume-san holds a tray out to me with a bloody lump on it. Please don't tell me that's from an autopsy. It's fresh. What's it matter? I thought from the looks of things, I'd say terminal cancer. I'd say that matters quite a bit. I sit down in a nearby chair. She's Takashiro Natsume, certainly a doctor, but one who specializes in forensics. I'm here about the case from the other day. Ah, that one. Natsume-san dumps the liver on the tray into the trash. Isn't that against protocol? Let's see. That stuff was here. Kamizono Mayuhan, yes? Natsume-san hails from the Kansei region where... and speaks heavily accented Japanese in the Kansei dialect. San becomes Han. Okay. Natsume-san brings me some documents. The murder case that occurred at the beginning of the month. The gruesome corpse of Kamizono Mayu, a nurse, was discovered at her home. A suspect was arrested and I was called in by the police for assistance. I found some contradictions and proved that he couldn't have committed the crime. The suspect has been released now, but they've got no leads on the true culprit. Yaginumahan seems to suspect the first fella they arrested, though. Did she speak in this heavy of an accent before? I think she might have, but I guess they like played it up a little bit more in this game. I don't know, because it just seems like she didn't have this heavy of an accent before. He just doesn't want to do any actual work. Yaginuma Ryochi, one of the top brass of the National Police Agency, isn't incompetent, but he does have a tendency to treat everyone like he's smarter than them. Yeah, basically he's an asshole. It's just circumstantial evidence, so there's certainly room for suspicion. I concluded that it would have been likely he was sleeping during the time the crime was committed, since he'd taken some strong sleeping pills at the hospital, but there are plenty of ways to get around that. I doubt he threw up the sleeping pills later, or that they didn't have the intended effect. I can't imagine the crime was just a passing one from the looks of our deceased friend here. She was quite a mess. No kidding. The body had the stomach cut open with something stuffed inside it, and it was hanging upright as well. Where have we seen things being stuffed into women's stomach before? Well, in the first game, and also in the beginning of this one. I highly doubt anyone would commit a crime like this on the spur of the moment. Oh yeah, did you analyze the clay that was inside her stomach? Okay, well that's definitely confirmation that this is the same sort of murder happening. Ah, yep, it was just regular old clay. We didn't find hide nor hair of any fingerprints on the surface, neither. There haven't been any similar crimes in the past, have there? Similar? Well, none in the Metropolitan Police Department's jurisdiction besides the Black Eggs. That's what I thought. The Black Egg murder case. The case happened around 2 years ago in the vicinity of Oba Girls Academy. The culprit's already been arrested. Ain't no question that the clay doll represents a human fetus, yeah? They even went out of their way to carve out an umbilical cord to boot. Have you figured out anything new since then? Well, let's see. I figured I should collect all the organs that were strewn about the room, but there weren't no more or less than there should have been. So the killer cut out the organs purely to make room for the clay doll. The goal must have been to stuff the clay doll into the stomach, not to conceal something else. Ain't sure it was purely anything, but yep, something like that. If their goal was to display the corpse, the killer may have been some sort of religious fanatic. Well, he might be onto something there. Righto. I'll have a look into the victim's acquaintances, but I was just at the hospital yesterday and I didn't get a chance to ask. Oh, you noticed that she was from the Kuchikis. Yeah, I figured that much out. Kamizono Mayu was a nurse at the Kuchiki hospital. I should have asked Dr. Yamanuchi about her yesterday, but it wasn't really the time. I'll go over there again tomorrow. One more thing, Natsume-san. What is it? You needing some treatment down there today? No. Oh my god. What is this vulgar quack talking about? Do you have any information on the suspect? Yagi Numahan won't tell us nothing about him. Nothing to do with forensics, he said. Why not just ask him in bed? I never! Please refrain from making those weird noises. Oh, but you know I prefer a futon on the tatami to a bed. I don't think anyone asked about that. Ugh. God, that woman is fucking... That woman is nasty. Oba Private Girls Academy. A classroom. Yukiko sits in the class in the back of the room. The classroom is soundless save for the voice of the professor and the sound of pencils. This stillness would have been unthinkable at her previous school. But she doesn't dislike it. She finds quiet comforting. There's no need for excessive noise. She can concentrate on the lecture like this. A bell rings, signaling the end of class. It's the only time the classroom fills with noise. It's still not very loud, however, excluding a few exceptions. Hey, Yukarichi, up to anything today? A girl named Tori Kohane comes to the desk in front of Yukiko. The girl who sits there is named Tokisaka Yukari. It's the first name she came to know after transferring to this school, and the name of her first friend here. I'm sorry, I'm a little busy today. Yukari picks up her bag and stands. Huh? No club today? Right, I need to go to the hospital. What? Yukarichi, are you pregnant? Why is that your first assumption? What brought you to that conclusion? I'm just visiting someone. For whatever reason, she listens to their conversation. Somebody you know is in the hospital? Well, something like that. I gotcha. I hope they get better soon. Me too. Yukari heads to the door, but turns around partway there. See you tomorrow, Kohane, Kayahara-san. Huh? Right. Goodbye. She even kind of looks a little bit like Satsuki. I have to wonder if she's not related, it's related to her in some way. Yukiko responds hesitantly, not expecting to hear her name. Hey, Yukiko-chan. Kohane addresses her. Yes? Wanna head home together? Huh? Sorry, I have somewhere I need to go too. She stands up, flustered. Gotcha. See you tomorrow then. Right. She heads into the hallway as if to escape. She doesn't really have anywhere she needs to go. Just get me away from that crazy lady. A sigh escapes her lips. Why do I always do this? Kohane isn't a stranger to her. But that's all the more reason. She doesn't want her current self to have anything to do with her. But the more she thinks that, the more lonely she feels. Yukiko has no idea what she should do. Yukari heads to Nakano from the Musashi Sakai station and walks over to the Kuchiki hospital. The closer she gets to the building, the heavier her legs feel. He didn't regain consciousness after his transfusion yesterday. I wonder if he'll be awake today. She wants him to recover, and she wants to know why he did what he did once he's stable anyway. She doesn't understand what would make someone choose to end their own life. She can only guess that something painful happened to him. Well, she would be right, but she won't know the truth until she can ask him. I'd better go. There's no point in standing around here being indecisive. She enters the hospital. There are still a lot of outpatients here, even on a Friday afternoon. She passes through the waiting room and into the hospitalization ward. Oh, Dr. Yamanuchi. Here to visit Masaki-san? Yes. She nods honestly. She couldn't think of any other reason for her to be here. Right. I'm sorry. We're still not allowing visitors. Has he still not regained consciousness? Correct. He had no reaction to the antibodies in the blood he received, and his condition is stable, but... Koharu shakes her head. Is he in some kind of a coma? I see. And after he regains consciousness, his doctor said we may have to keep him sedated with medication for a little while. That's probably so he doesn't try to harm himself again. Yukari realizes as much, but doesn't say so. I understand. I'll be leaving then. Okay, take care. There's no point staying here if she can't see him. She has no other business here for now, after all. I'm kind of just like waiting for him to actually regain consciousness because I'm really interested to hear like what the fuck he's been up to. Saturday's classes conclude in the morning. Hey Yukarichi, you going to the hospital again today? Kohane asks her in a flash. No, it would be rude to impose every day, she answers. I've got club activities to attend today. I guess I'll go too then. I am an art club member after all. Not that you've done any painting. It's fine, I'm just there to appreciate the art. Yukari doesn't think she's done much of that either, but decides not to say so. Is this girl supposed to be like kind of a stand-in for Toki, or was it like Tokiko or whatever from the first game? Because she acts exactly the same. She's happy enough just to have Kohane accompany her after all. Oh, that's right. Kohane goes behind Yukari. You should come too, Yukiko-chan. I'll bet you'll have a lot of fun. What? Yukari turns up at Yukiko's voice. Kohane grabs Yukiko's arm and tries to pull her up from her chair. But, I couldn't do anything like that. It'll be fine. You say that now, but it'll feel good once you get used to it. Kohane with her incomprehensible babble. Let's go, Yukarichi. Right. Kaihara-san, will you really come? I guess I could have a look. Yukiko agrees. Okay, yeah, like looking at her, she looks almost exactly like Satsuki. Like, the resemblance is almost uncanny. I don't know. I'm putting money on it, she's related. She seems hesitant, but she doesn't look like she's necessarily that against it. Let's go then. Yukari leaves the classroom first. Please come in. She invites Yukiko inside. Pardon me. Yukiko enters the room after having been silent all the way here. Incidentally, Kohane was inside the room before Yukari. Wow. Yukiko exhales in wonder. I'm sorry it's such a mess. The chairs and easels haven't been put away. It's fine. Go ahead and sit down. Yukiko sits down silently when Yukari offers her a chair. She gazes around the room with an interested expression. Yukari sets some art books down near her. Feel free to look through them. Sure. Yukiko timidly reaches out to the books. Yukari watches her quietly. Staring at her will probably only make her more nervous. If possible, she'd like Yukiko to join the art club. In order for that to happen, it's important for her to feel comfortable here. Hey Yukarichi, do you serve tea or snacks here? Unfortunately, we're not that well equipped. If they did things like that, it would probably be difficult to figure out what sort of club they were supposed to be. Yukari sits down too, taking a large book and a sketchbook from her bag. Whoa, that looks heavy. You were lugging that around? I brought it from our library at home. My brother collects things like this. Uh-huh. Your brother's a detective, right, Yukarichi? Is it that kind of book? I think my brother actually prefers reading these kinds of books over being a detective. She opens it. It's a Western book with horizontal text. Can you read that, Yukarichi? It's in Greek, so I can't actually read much of it. I just like the illustration here. A woman? Is it the Virgin Mary? Yes. I don't know who drew it, though. Wow. What a pretty picture. I was trying to sketch something based on this, but it's proven pretty difficult. She opens her sketchbook, and Kohane looks over at it too. Yep, that's definitely the Virgin Mary. Looks pretty good to me. It's not quite there yet. Wanna see Yukiko-chan? Kohane beckons Yukiko over. Huh? Come on, just look. Kohane grabs Yukiko's arm and pulls her over. Feel free. It's not finished yet, though. Yukari hands Yukiko her sketchbook. Excuse me, then. Yukiko looks down at the sketchbook. It's still a little embarrassing to have her work scrutinized so carefully. You drew this, Tokisaka-san? Yes, but I still have a long way to go. There had been someone much better than her in her art club before. Or rather, not better, but someone who could put her soul into her art. Whenever Yukari sees the art she left behind, she feels something squeezing at her heart. Will a day ever come when she can paint something like that? Yukiko-chan? Kohane is staring at Yukiko's face. Oh, I'm sorry, I just couldn't look away. Yukiko closes the sketchbook, returning it to Yukari. So, what'd you think? Well, I won't insist, but I'd be very happy if you'd stay. Yukari tells Yukiko her honest feelings. But I've never painted anything before. That's fine, neither have I. Yukiko hangs her head, a troubled expression on her face. She wants to wait for Yukiko's answer, but she feels she shouldn't put too much pressure on her. While Yukari's debating what to do. If you'll have me, Yukiko mutters in a tiny voice. Really? Yes, if I won't be a bother. You'd never be a bother. Thank you, Kayahara-san. Yukari grasps Yukiko's hands without thinking. Sure. Don't you think this kind of picture's unusual for you though, Yukarichi? Kohane mutters, looking at the book with the illustration of the Virgin Mary. Well, there's not much I can do about it. Why's that? Because there aren't as many things I can draw in the winter. Kohane comes to her own conclusion. Like flowers and plants? Yukiko tilts her head, not quite understanding. I'm not quite understanding that either. What was that, or what were they talking about there? I parked the car in a lot labeled visitors. There aren't many outpatients here, perhaps because it's a Saturday afternoon. I enter the building through the front door. Dr. Yamanouchi. I find Koharu in the lobby and call out to her. I've been waiting for you, Tokisaka-san. Koharu doesn't seem to be busy. It's a good thing I contacted her before coming. Sorry for barging in all the time. You said there was something you wanted to ask about. Yes, about a Kamizono-san who worked here. I understand. We can use this room. Koharu indicates a nearby reception room. That's convenient, as it isn't a conversation I want too many people overhearing. We enter the room and Koharu shuts the door. Kamizono Mayu-san, yes? Yes, I'd like to ask primarily about her social circle. Kamizono-san was in a different department than me, so I never knew much about her. Koharu professes her words thusly. Which department would that be? She had been a nurse in the psychiatric ward since 2 years ago. Koharu hesitated a little to say it. Psychiatry? And by 2 years ago, you mean... Yes. All she does is nod. But that's not enough for me. A doctor named Saito Tamaki, rather Rokoshiki Makoto, worked in the psychiatric ward here until last spring. He was arrested for several murder cases in the past and is still detained by the police today. And the victim was working under him. But... if she had been working there for 2 years, I suppose he's got nothing to do with this case. I know I shouldn't jump to any hasty conclusions. I wouldn't be surprised if his obsession had been causing problems for dozens of years. Of course, any patients he had at the time could also be suspected, but... You may be right, but... That would introduce quite the dilemma, though. We can't charge them with crimes they can't be held responsible for. Even the woman in front of me, Yamanoshi Koharu, killed her child in a brief period of insanity. I must have forgot about that. That's... what the fuck? Yeah, I completely forgot about that part of the first game. There's nothing that can be done about things like that. Whatever you know is fine, but did Kamizono-san have any strange acquaintances, to your knowledge? I don't believe so. Was she religious? I never heard her say anything to indicate she was. I see. The clay doll stuffed into her stomach. I thought there was a possibility it could have been a religious ritual, but it looks like I can't draw any conclusions yet. Was there any other nurses or doctors she was particularly close to? I'm not sure. She didn't seem to discriminate between people in her interactions with them. So I won't find any leads in her social circles. I can't imagine it was just a passing crime, but... Oh? Koharu looks toward the door to the hallway. What's going on? It's a little noisy out there. Did something happen? I hear several people running through the hallway. Excuse me, I'm going to go check. Don't worry about it. I should get going. I head to the hallway to find Koharu speaking to a nearby nurse. What happened? She snuck out of her room again. Again? Let's split up and look for her. Right. The nurses split up. A patient's run away? Yes, well, we can't exactly lock them up, so these things do happen sometimes. Sounds like it's been rough. Yes, I'm sorry. You'll have to excuse me. Bowing her head, Koharu runs off down the hallway. I probably shouldn't get in her way. In light of that, I decide to head out. But at that moment, something rolls by my feet. It looks like white porcelain or glass. Some kind of part? I pick it up and freeze for a second. Oh my god. A nifty eye has been painted on its spherical surface. The pupil is very detailed, and red capillaries run through the white. It can't just be something someone dropped. I look around. Just nearby, in a shadow of the hallway, a girl in a nightgown is crouching down, covering her face. Could this be... Hey, kid. I approach her and kneel, peering at her face. The bandages wrapped around her head are coming loose. Her face is completely covered by her hands, and I can't see it. She presses her nails into her own face. Hey! I hurriedly grab her arm. Her fingertips are wet with blood. What are you... The girl's face. Where her left eye is supposed to be, there's a cavity dripping with bright red blood. Oh. So like... that was like a fake eye. Then this fake eye must belong to... No! No! The girl shakes her head, scratching at her eye socket with her other hand. The blood drips onto the floor. Someone! Call a staff member! I shout to my surroundings, holding down the girl's arms. She pushes back at me with strength unimaginable for someone so slender. Shirosaki-san! Koharu and the nurse come running. Michiro-chan, everything's alright, calm down. When she hears the two of them, the girl called Michiro starts to relax. Did you scratch it out again? Koharu examines Michiro's eye. No, I don't want to see. Michiro shakes her head. It's alright, there's nothing to be scared of. Koharu calms her down. I release her arms when she gives me a look. We'll have to disinfect this. Where's your eye? I have it. I hand Koharu the eyeball I picked up. Thank you. Can you stop the bleeding and disinfect it? Of course. Let's go, Michiro-chan. The nurse takes Michiro away. Koharu looks over at me again. I'm so sorry about this. Are you alright? I'm fine, but that girl was covered in bandages. When I grabbed her arms, I could definitely feel bandages under her sleeves as well. Yes, it's most likely just as you imagine. Attempted suicide, huh? And many times. If not that, then it was likely self-harm. In any case, not something that could be left alone. If that's the case, then this girl would be in that department as well. No, she's got nothing to do with what I'm investigating. Are you sure about that, though? Are you sure about that? I shouldn't pry. I take my leave from the Kuchiki hospital and return home. The investigation isn't going well. It's pretty much going nowhere. I should probably go back to the drawing board and start from scratch. I may need to reconsider my thoughts about the initial suspect. If the investigation is reopened after I declare the crime impossible for him to have committed, I'm sure I'll never hear the end of it from that superintendent. But it sure is preferable to the case going cold. It disgusts me a little to think I'll have to bow my head to him, but I doubt he'll give me any useful information if I don't. Seems pretty effortless if I can get information just by bowing. That's just a good way of thinking about it. I'm back. Welcome home, Nissan. I find Yukari still in her uniform, and one other. A guest? That explains the unfamiliar shoes at the entrance. Yes, this is my friend Tori Kohane-san. Sorry to intrude. No problem. Go ahead and relax. I should probably get out of their way while I can. I don't mind crowds, but I don't particularly feel comfortable when I don't fit in. I enter my room and take a seat. I'd like a smoke, but there aren't any ashtrays in the house. I've got to practice some restraint. No, I really want a cig. There are some things I'd like to go over while I have a smoke. I head outside, avoiding the living room on the way. I lean against my parked car and light a cigarette. Well, let me rethink this Kamizono Mayu case. Uh-oh. Deduction. She'd been a nurse in the psychiatric ward of the Kuchiki Hospital, known as the Kuchiki Pathological Research Institute 2 years ago. The person who immediately comes to mind in that case is Rokushiki Makoto. Is he related to this case? He's related or he isn't related? That's a tough one, actually. Okay, so apparently he is related. I was pretty sure he's related. He must be related somehow. He couldn't have committed the crime, however. It's possible that he sowed the seeds sometime in the past, but... yeah, because if we know anything, this must date back to, all the way back to the flashback we were seeing. That's definitely related to what's happening now. I can't make any assertions, huh? The other day when I was called over by the superintendent, I proved that the suspect they'd apprehended couldn't have committed the crime. The suspect, who'd met with Kamizono Mayu before the crime, had taken sleeping pills and would have been completely asleep during the time of the crime. That was my judgment. Since the sleeping pills were officially prescribed to him at the hospital, and there had been records indicating such, there isn't a very high chance he was only feigning taking them. The reason the suspect and Kamizono Mayu met that day was a sensible one as well, since she was delivering an item to him he had forgotten. There was testimony that they'd gotten into an argument, but if it led to her murder, it doesn't really make sense for her to have been killed at her residence. That was my reasoning for concluding that the suspect couldn't have committed the crime, but the biggest question is the state of Kamizono Mayu's body. The clay doll stuffed into her abdomen. The crime scene suggested some sort of religious ritual. Unfortunately, I've never heard of such a custom. It's entirely possible, of course, that it's a custom of the occult perhaps, that exists beyond my knowledge. With the body in that state, it's undeniable that some degree of planning went into the murder. But whether or not the suspect is capable of such a thing, I have no clue. I flicked my shortened cigarette into the ashtray in my car. First of all, it's still not clear to me who the suspect even is. If Yaginuma won't tell me, all I can do is investigate on my own, but the only lead I have right now is the Kuchiki Hospital. I suppose it's better than somewhere I have no acquaintances at all, but it's tough when I know so many people there too.
So that's your brother, Yukarichi?
Kohane asked Yukari after her brother entered the room.
Yes. He's kinda cool, isn't he? You think so?
Yukari tilts her head in puzzlement. Previously, another of her friends said the same thing, but she doesn't really get it. Well, apparently all the girls are attracted to him.
Well, outwardly my brother is a perfectly decent person, I suppose.
If he wasn't, he'd never have been able to become a detective. Kohane drops her eyes to a literary magazine, appearing to lose interest in the topic. She probably did actually lose interest. At a fundamental level, Kohane is a very arbitrary person after all. She says arbitrary things in about 80, maybe 90% of her conversations. Still, Yukari considers their friendship genuine. She knows Kohane isn't a bad person. That's why.
Can I go confess to your brother?
Confess what?
My love, of course.
Be my guest.
I'm joking.
I know you are. Well, at least she's caught on to her quote-unquote jokes. It still holds true for arbitrary conversations such as this.
By the way, Yukarichi,
she's used to the conversation topic changing rapidly as well.
Yes? It was nice that Yukiko-chan joined the club today, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. She agrees honestly. She wanted to do something for the girl who's been all alone since she transferred. Though what Yukari was able to do was limited, since she didn't want to force her into anything.
Thank you too, Kohane.
I didn't do anything. Kohane laughs.
That's not true. I'm very grateful.
Yukari conveys her feelings of gratitude to Kohane once again. After dinner.
Nissan, shouldn't we start writing New Year's cards soon?
I guess it's that season already. I guess if we're sending them, now would be the time to start getting ready. There was too much going on last year, so we didn't send any, but we can probably stand to celebrate this new year a little.
We're sending one to Oizumi-san, right?
I've never sent him one before, but since he's so far away now, I guess we should. What happened to Oizumi? We haven't really seen him.
Could you find out his address then?
Couldn't we just send it to the police station over there?
I'm not sure if that's a good idea.
Oh yeah, he sent a letter to Kyoko, so I guess I'll ask her later.
Very well. Would you like to send one to anyone else?
Not really. The rest are all people I see all the time. There's no need to send something to someone I've become estranged from.
Isn't the point to send them to people who take care of you regularly?
She presents her reasonable argument, sighing. Yeah, but the people who take care of me regularly would be Yaginuma from the police and Natsume-san. I'd really rather not send any to those two. Yeah. Yaginuma would just tear it up and then Natsume would get the wrong idea.
Shouldn't we send one to Takashiro-san?
Oh yeah, those guys. I completely forgot those people who I've known for a while. Guess I should send one to a friend in the same business. I happen to know his address from the regular reports we were getting a while ago on the state of his newly born daughter.
I'll send one to Kyoko-san.
Sure, I'll leave it to you. There's a form to follow for seasonal greetings, but when you have to add on a few extra sentences, it becomes a huge headache. Want to make a potato stamp? That's not an activity I'd recommend for someone as clumsy as you, Nissan. Hey now, I can carve a potato stamp at least. We've done it before, right?
As I recall it, you wrote Happy New Year in regular writing instead of mirrored.
Yeah, I have no idea what a potato stamp is.
Furthermore, you decided it was too much trouble to write the characters for Happy and only carved New Year, did you not?
I can't believe you remember that stuff. It appears I'm not winning this battle.
It was my winter break homework after all. In the end, I had to do it myself.
Well, you should do your homework yourself, you know.
I really regretted it at the time.
She heaves a deep sigh. It was independent research, right? Why didn't you observe some of those bugs you like or something?
That would have been better, but hibernating beetle larvae wouldn't have been much to observe, would they?
Would have been a cinch, though. Sign me up. Wouldn't larvae at least grow a little, though?
I couldn't do something so cruel as dig them up out of the earth.
What about observing eggs, then?
Well, I hear silkworm eggs overwinter, but I wonder if I could get anyone to lend me some.
Sorry to say, but I don't have any acquaintances in the sericulture industry.